Well, welcome back to Session 3 of the Planet Ocean Advanced SEO Bootcamp with SEO pioneer and head of research John Hurd and Casey Markey, our lead SEO consultant and authority on Google penalty resolution. Today we continue this advanced training with John Hurd. Our focus today is YouTube and image optimization. Several of our new members commented in the Skype Mastermind group. They've been waiting for this section of the training. Well, it's here. Before we get started, I remind you that you do have access to the slides as well as the audio of each presentation in your searchenginenews.com member area. I encourage you to log in and review the important parts of the training that are most applicable to you and your business right now. Our fourth session is a dedicated Q&A, and it's a great idea to review the important sections of the training so that you bring all of your most important questions to that session to get answered by all of our trainers. Also, you do have access to our business support membership. It's a free benefit of your participation in this training. Activate your free 30 days of access by using the link in the Q&A member section. Well, let's go ahead and get started. John, welcome.
Thank you, Ramon, and welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody enjoys this session. We got a lot of ground to cover here, so we're going to just jump right in. And hopefully my voice won't go crazy this time. I have water standing by, Ramon, so hopefully I won't have that happen again to me. Today we're going to talk about video and image optimization strategies, and it's one of these, both of these topics are things that people tend to overlook when it comes to SEO and increasing your traffic on your website. But as we've discussed in our basic training, there's more than one way to skin a cat. In Google's universal organic search, there's a lot of different ways to show up in search. So we're going to cover some of these alternate ways today and how, to best optimize for those. YouTube video optimization is one thing you want to keep in mind when people are at youtube.com. Just kind of keep that in mind in regards to your content within YouTube's titles, video titles and the descriptions. You need to hit this on exact match if you can. Let's talk a little bit about the ranking signals. Text. There's lots of room available here to put content in, but the most important section is what's above the fold, and that's the area that you can see without having to click the show more different types of videos, what actually shows up in the description. Some have a show more link and some don't. For example, this Peterson Farm Brothers video that they made, it originally had a show more link and now it's not got one. Not too sure what the difference is there, but this is an extremely high traffic video and that may explain part of this. But in general, you want to keep your video description, important information, above the fold that shows up in that show more area, or above the show more area. You also want to include keywords within the tags on your video. Now, these are now hidden on the video watch page. They used to be present, but I guess Google decided, or YouTube decided that they weren't really serving much purpose for most people, so now they actually don't show up on the watch page, the user side. You can still put them in when you're uploading the video, and we do highly recommend doing that. Now, an additional thing that we'd like to suggest is to put your URL. Ideally, you put a video up on YouTube, you would like to drive traffic from that page to, ideally your website or maybe Facebook or whatever, your page on Facebook. For example, if you look at this example here we have on the screenshot, they've linked their Facebook page and their online store at the very top of their description. So that's a good place to get a link so that you can get some traffic out of these videos when you put one up. So that's, in order to do that, you have to just put the URL starting with http:// at the very top of the description. ideally, that'll be a good place to get some clicks out of it. This farming video was kind of quite hilarious. This is a parody that they put up, and talk about going viral. When they put this up, this thing just went nuts, and just recently it was showing at 8 million some page views. It got the boys on national TV, got them all kinds of exposure for what they're doing. They started a T-shirt, an online store, and all kinds of stuff that they didn't have before. So they really got a lot of exposure and directly started from YouTube. Now notice that they put the keyword farming in the video title, and for a while that actually worked very, very well for them. In regards to that title, the YouTube video title, you want to choose this carefully. The title length varies on where the video is displayed at. In Google Universal Search, you'll typically see about 50 characters showing up in that search result. But if you're on YouTube, you may see 55 to 60 show up. So ideally, try and stay in the neighborhood of 50 characters or less if you can. And that's primarily just so that you can, your title actually shows up in the search result, it isn't clipped off. Not to mention, you want to, just like in web search, you want to keep your most important keywords at the beginning of the title if you can, towards the start. So make sure to try and get at least one mention of your keywords up there at the top. Within the first part of the description, make sure that you include a link to your website if you want traffic, to drive to your site. And if you don't include the http:// it won't generate it as a link. It'll just be text. So make sure to include that. It's important that you don't keyword stuff these tags, video tags, but like I said, it's not 1997. You don't need to try and stick every possible keyword under the sun in your video tag section. But do insert what's appropriate for your video and avoid repeating the phrases. Put your most important keywords up front in the tags. And even though tags no longer show up on the video watch page, you should still make use of them. Ideally, you should also include your brand name in the tags, something a lot of people tend to forget, because that does help trigger the video to show up in related videos with your other videos. For example, your company name or your brand name. Put those in there. That can help quite a bit. Now, what really helps a video to rank well? It's really tied to user interactions. It's the number of views and the frequency that people view your video. It's also the duration of time that they view your video in regards to, what makes it rank. So ideally, you want people to watch the whole thing. The views and frequency are quite important, as well as likes and dislikes. All these interactions that people can make with the video are important. Likes and dislikes, it's important to, within the video, it can be helpful if you ask people to like your video, like at the trailing end of it when they're done. They can also add, you can also do this as an annotation within the video itself, or in the description of the video below the video there. This can be a strong signal if people are liking it. Shares can have a very positive effect on ranking by increasing views by leveraging more websites. So we think it's quite important to, if you're trying to promote a video, also push it out on Twitter and Facebook and all your other social media areas, including forums, your website, all these different locations where you can embed or share the video helps increase the view count. And again, remember to try and do it in an area or a place that is relevant. If you try and post, something that's not related, it's unlikely that people are going to actually view the whole thing. They may only view part of it, and that may hurt you. These user interactions, such as comments, are also important. It's a signal of user interaction. The more comments, the more people have typically looked at it. But be aware that others will try to spam the comment section, especially if it's a popular video. They're going to get pretty bad about it, really. or they'll post negative comments. It's actually depressing, on some of these larger videos, the nasty comments that get posted. You can approve or disapprove comments, so try and stay on top of that if you do allow them. Just like this same example here, this is a comment from that farming video, and here's somebody's posting lose weight this summer with a goo.gl link, probably an affiliate link or something, and and they also had 5 likes on it, which is, of course, somebody's trying to promote that and pump it up there to get some traffic to their affiliate links. But you should pay attention to what's being posted as a comment if you allow them, because you'll have junk like this show up. You can also do video responses. This is a great way to drive traffic to your other videos, piggybacking off of high traffic ones. For example, if you look at these video responses here to the farming video, one of them is from the same people, the Peterson brothers. They've created an outtake video to actually increase even more exposure. And of course, now somebody else did a parody of The Lion Sleeps Tonight and tagged that to this video as a response. So it's a way to increase the number of videos for that one quite a bit. The other thing you should likely do is to say yes for syndication, as that's going to it can certainly increase the views as well for your video. And I'm actually wrong. The Lion Sleeps Tonight is one of the boys that's one of the farmer video guys, so it's actually related. But he's exposing that video by tying it to their more popular one. So that's what they're doing there. Now here's an important thing. There is a minimum viewing time in order to count as a view. And for YouTube, that's 8 seconds. So it's 8 seconds. 8 seconds isn't just for bull riding. It's considered viewed after 8 seconds. So ideally, you want to try and be quite engaging in those first 8 seconds to try and get people to stick around at least that long. Now how long they actually view the video is part of the ranking system as well. So, if you're finding, if you go to the YouTube Analytics report, when you sign into YouTube and go to your videos, you can click on the audience retention section and take a look at how viewers are interacting with your video. You can see the fall off time and how long they're watching. So this is an area where you can work to improve what you're doing with your videos. Here's a graph of video viewing time on a YouTube video, and you can see how over time retention kind of drops off there. So ideally, if you look at this this particular one, you can see that there's a pretty good drop-off around the 24-second mark, but the majority did stick past 8-second mark, so they were counted as a view. But in your future videos, take a look at what was happening around, for this example, around the 24-second mark. Something here started getting people bored. Up to around 17 seconds, they were hanging in there pretty darn good, but then they started to drop off, at a pretty even rate there. Now, those that stuck around, for 39 seconds did tend to continue to go there, but there's something going on between 26 and 39 seconds that people tended to get bored with and decided to quit viewing it. Maybe, it's just a section of the video that next time around you're building one, avoid doing that, whatever it is, and see if you can improve this retention. You can compare how your video does against other videos. Well, while you're in the audience retention section of the YouTube Analytics, you can also see how well your video does as compared to other YouTube videos of similar length. Click the Relative Audience Retention tab for this information. As this chart shows, this video is losing people pretty bad around the 30-second mark. Review your video and ask why. You can usually figure out why these things are doing this. And it's of course, it's something of continual improvement when you're trying to make your videos better and more attention-getting. And, you may actually be boring people at that point, so try and figure out what's going on there. Hey, as I mentioned earlier, you should leverage social networks to increase the sharing and, actually increase the overall views as well. You should embed your video on your website in other locations to increase your views. And this does help a lot making video viral. if you help spread it around like this, because obviously, folks on YouTube or on Facebook and Twitter and stuff love to share things, especially if it's funny or unique or new, and that's exactly what the Peterson Farm Brothers did for their video. You can see this screenshot I got over on the right. That was within a day or two of launch. They were at 12,000 likes, and within a matter of months, that really grew exponentially. And a lot of that was due to people spreading the word. They saw it on their page and they shared it with others on their Facebook page or Twitter or other areas, Google Plus as well. They take advantage of all these different social media outlets and share the video there. And of course, we also have our regular web pages that you can insert the video as an embed or a forum. Take advantage of all the different traffic locations you have available to you to help pump up these views and the actual viewing time for your videos. And don't forget to ask people to like it. That'll help as well for your ranking. Further things for your YouTube video optimization is to, like I mentioned earlier, if you use your brand name consistently in your video tags, that's going to help them show up as a related video. A good lesson on this, on the branding in regards to this and the tags as well, is Old Spice. They do a really good job at this, and if you can do some searching on their videos, the related videos show up very well for their brand terms. So take a look at, just go do a search at YouTube for Old Spice and look how well these videos all tie together in search. Utilize your own video responses with your own videos. Like I showed you, previously, how the Peterson brothers did this for different videos, like their outtakes from the original one, bloopers, things like that. That can help drive even more traffic. You can cover more keyword phrases, things like that. Just make sure that the videos are relevant when you do this. A few more tips here in regards to YouTube. Ideally, and this is something you want to do before you even upload the video. Take whatever keyword that you want to target, your primary keyword that you're after, and change the file name of the video itself, of the raw video, before you upload that to YouTube. Because once it's up there, you can't change, the submitted file name. You need to do this before you actually upload the file. Make sure to choose the appropriate category, and that's kind of some common sense, but make sure to choose an appropriate category when you're uploading and setting up the video. Ask viewers to favorite the video if they like it. This takes more steps for them to do, and in turn seems to be a little more powerful than a like. Include a call to action, such as visit our website, check out our channel, follow us on Twitter, visit our Facebook page, whatever. Try to get an action, result from them viewing this video. You can do it in the video. You can add a, as far as the audio video, you can actually physically ask them to do it. You can make a video annotation on the video itself, or you can actually include this on the description. I think it's probably a little more powerful if you actually do it in the video itself or with the annotation, because people don't always read the descriptions that well. Make sure to cover all your bases. YouTube search results consist of videos, playlists, and channels. You can cover more keyword phrases by making use of all three of these tools. This is an example, and we're going to get into this wine rack thing. It's kind of an interesting discussion here as we keep moving on here. But, say that you had a wine rack video. Notice that you've got different types of, you've got playlists showing here just as well as videos themselves. So you can rank for things other than just the video itself. You can cover more ground with these, and it's one way to get more keyword phrase variations. Making use of YouTube's playlist to group relevant videos is pretty helpful. This lets you cover more long-tail phrases. For example, here, this one was, our example here is how to wire up a ceiling fan. That was a search phrase. Notice in the playlist how we cover more areas. We get the wiring section, like wiring up and wiring, and how to install. They're covering all that within these different videos, and the playlist ties them all together, so actually the playlist is ranking for this search phrase. So you can take advantage of that playlist to group videos together like this Under Ceiling Fan playlist to actually, improve your coverage of different keyword phrases. Now, YouTube video, the search at YouTube is a little different. Well, actually, it can be quite different than Google search. People look for things a little bit different when they're on YouTube. So ideally, you want to make use of YouTube's promoted videos keyword tool, and that's at ads.youtube.com/keyword_tool. We have a link here in our presentation if you'd like to use that. But again, and you can find this at Google too. Just do a search for YouTube keyword tool, and you'll get this. There's a lot of off-topic suggestions you'll find when you do a search here within this deal or YouTube keyword tool. You should take a look and see what kind of value, the page video impressions that show up in this report. For example, this one was one for farming, the screenshot to the right, and we see that grain is a related keyword phrase, and it has some fairly significant search volume on it for 67,900. So it may make sense to do a grain video or grain farmer video if you were targeting that demographic. Over on the lower middle, we have YouTube's video or a keyword suggestion tool. When you go into search and you start typing, notice the different types of keyword phrases that come up here for the word grain. You can find all the different variations that people are actually looking for. For example, grain elevator explosions. That may be a little bit morbid, but there's a lot of stuff you can learn as to what people are actually looking for here. And you could somehow target your video to address these search phrases if you need to. Now, let's talk a little bit about the big elephant here, and that's Google Universal Search. Although I'm going to google.com and doing a search, well, you can actually get video results here as well. Now, this is an example for a search for the word farming very shortly after those Peterson brothers added their little YouTube video, their parody that they put up on YouTube. They ranked number 8 out of 178 million results for just the video, and it showed up at youtube.com in the number 8th position. Now, that stayed there for a while. Now, I'm actually referencing something that happened last summer, and the reason why is because it really shows how this works in regards to when something is hot and trending very quickly, it tends to get a lot of weight in search. For example, like farming here, it's a very generic keyword phrase, and you wouldn't have expected a YouTube video to rank for that generic of a keyword phrase. But the reason it did was because it was moving. This video was getting a lot of viral exposure at the time. It was pulling in a lot of traffic. Google says, hey, this is interesting. We need to include this in the farming result because it's relevant. But what happens after a little bit of time and the rate of expansion, the rate of likes, rate of views and things have cooled off, then it drops out. And you won't find it now in a search for farming at the top 10. Now, in Google Universal Search, we have the ability to use video to send traffic direct to your website. Obviously, you can put a YouTube video up on your on YouTube. For example, like this fella here, he built a how to build a wine rack video, uploaded it to YouTube, and he's obviously showing up here for how to build a wine rack in Google Universal Search. But look right below it. His name's Ron Hazelton, by the way, and you can see he's also got a result that's showing up as a link to his website. Well, this is kind of a fun thing that we like to do, and we want to talk about how this works. Now, of course, Google likes to keep traffic on their own properties like YouTube, so you typically won't outrank YouTube when you have a video that's battling, with it. But look at here, this is the exact same video that's showing up here. One of them is hosted on his site, one of them is hosted at YouTube. It's the same video. I think there's like 1 second showing different in actual runtime, but it's the same video. And he's uploaded this thing to both locations, and he's got 2 listings for it. See, Google isn't that good at figuring out when a video is an exact duplicate, especially when you change the titles and descriptions and things and they don't match exactly. So you can do this, and look, Ron's figured out how to do both, and he's got both this number 2 and number 3 positions for how to make a wine rack. So let's look and see how he did this. There are a few tricks to getting your video to show up in universal search. First of all, you need to have the video hosted on your site or a video distribution site like Vimeo. And the important thing is it's not on YouTube, because it's on YouTube, Google's going to take the traffic and it's going to link to the YouTube video. It's not going to link to your website. You have to do this in order to get the traffic and the search result to show your actual URL, your website URL. You need to have the correct size video thumbnail set up for this in order to get it to show up in universal search. You should also use an XML video sitemap. It's important to get the details right when you're doing this if you want it to work, because you can flail around and do it wrong and Google is just going to ignore it. It's very difficult for search engines to find duplicate videos. But be sure to change the titles and the thumbs so that they're not exact duplicates. And this is between YouTube and your own videos, and especially if you use another, like third-party sites like Vimeo. Keep them unique. Google likes big video thumbnails, and these are bigger than what you'd really expect. We've been using stuff around 415 pixels by 285 pixels with good results. You need to shoot for a width-to-height ratio of approximately 1.5 for the target area that you want to show. Google will not list a video unless there's a thumbnail available. Now, Ron, in his example for the wine rack thing, he did a 555 pixel by 375 pixel tall. And you can use a JPEG or PNG format for this. Either one will work. Now, in order to make this all work well, we highly recommend using a video sitemap. And this helps Google find all this information they need in order for it to rank well in search, in universal search, that is. And this is an example of a video sitemap that we've used, very close example. And this one was set up using Vimeo, and it worked just fine. You can add tags to your video sitemap. You can put a description, title, all this type of information, and you can use this to get your actual HTML page to rank. So you might make note of this. We will have this presentation up later. We also have an article about this at Search Engine News. If you search for video, we have a video article that has this content as well, or similar content in regards to XML video sitemaps. So we can reference this later if you want. But it is important to use one if you want full control over what's showing up in universal search. And you probably will find, if you don't use an XML video sitemap, you probably won't have very good results in regards to getting that video listed or to show up. Google is actually quite picky about these key areas. One is having the video sitemap, as I just mentioned. Now, we really recommend that you have a dedicated video sitemap because Bing tends to not like it when you mix different types of content. So we really recommend doing this as a separate actual XML file. Don't mix it with your HTML sitemap. It's also easier when you keep them separate. When you want to make a change to the sitemap, you don't have to go in there and edit the huge HTML sitemap. You should certainly have a video preview thumbnail. It's a must-have. If you don't have it, they probably won't rank this in universal search. Again, we recommend a large image, something over 400 pixels wide for Google. Ideally, you should choose a width-to-height ratio of about 1.5 to 1 for best results. Your video needs to be hosted on your own site, Vimeo, or another hosting platform. If you use video for the embed file, the video will link to YouTube, not your site. So you can use the video sitemap and link to YouTube, but then it's not going to work. You won't get the organic search result tying to your site. There's a number of people that have tried to figure out a way to do that, and it doesn't typically work. You have to, there's really no way that you can put a YouTube video there without faking Google in order to get that to show up. You must use the exact same title and description on the video sitemap that the web page uses where the video is embedded. So we highly recommend, that those match up. Definitely use an accurate video duration. Don't guess at that. And you can do that, just make sure you get exactly this information. Let me go back here and show you. I think I can. Video duration right here. You need to use, that's in seconds. You need to use the exact same thing there that you use so the actual video and the video duration match up there. Now, Vimeo, keep in mind if you upload a video to Vimeo, Vimeo actually can rank usually pretty well for video in Google organic search. So if you don't want to be competing with Vimeo for your own video that's embedded on your website, you should poison your Vimeo listing. Otherwise, keep your keywords out of the Vimeo description and title when you upload it. Or you could be competing with your own video and you're not going to get the traffic. So put something random, something like video one dot or whatever. Avoid hitting your keywords in there, try and use something that won't rank so that you don't have to fight with ranking yourself. Now, you can also upload your videos to Facebook as well. And you could, the same thing that you have on your website, you could actually upload it to your Facebook page as well. And you can get a boost this way as well. There's one benefit to uploading your video files direct to Facebook instead of sharing via YouTube or on your own website. And that's the ability to tag your friends and set a location when uploading the video. This pushes the video to their wall, and very likely their friends will also see it in their newsfeed. It's a great way to increase views, but be very careful using this. The shoe spammers and all the other kind of spammers on Facebook have really been pushing it here with image tagging and hacked accounts. So be kind of careful about using this technique. I would use it sparingly in regards to tagging your friends. People may not really like that, but there may be a time that you need to use that little technique. You can really avoid annoying your friends when using this powerful amplifier. You really don't to be the video tagged as spam or abusive. So, if you've got a business page, avoid, trying to tag people doing that. Actually, of course, this is going to be actually a personal Facebook video when you upload one of these and tag people. So, like I said, avoid tagging people unless you're, really sure that it's not going to be viewed as spammy. You can also tag people when the video is not uploaded to Facebook. Say that you share a YouTube video on Facebook. You can add your friend's name like @friendname in the comment area when you write your comment about the video. This will push the video to your friend's wall as well, and their friends will likely see it also. It does work. It's just not quite as clean as using a video uploaded to Facebook and tagging it within the video itself. And again, remember to not be annoying with this little feature, because you don't want to get tagged as being abusive or spam. That kind of goes over our stuff about videos. I think a lot of people overlook what kind of attention grabbing. I just want to back up here a minute to this where Ron had his listing. I'm sure you've all seen these video listings when somebody does a search at Google, but a lot of people don't realize that you can actually get this search result here and have that go to your own website, and that'll drive traffic. This nice big image here really does help click-through rates, and Google does like to see that you've got video on the page. So this does tend to help ranking as well. So this can be quite well worth it in regards to the reason for hosting your videos on your own website. It works to organic search, and you can, so like I said, here you've got 2 results because the other one's on YouTube. It could even have a third in some situations with another one on Vimeo, but you really don't want to have to fight yourself on the other website as well. All right, let's move on to images. Let me get moved forward here. They're also a great way to show up in universal search and in Google's image search. Let's talk about image search itself here for a little bit. The number one key to ranking well at Google image search is to utilize Google+. Personalization is a very important component at Google in Google image search. Google Plus has a huge influence, showing images that have been shared in a post or that people in your circles have shared. Those are given top ranking. Now, if you're not signed into Google at the time when you do your search, you won't see this. But you are signed in. You're going to see different people that's in your circles that have shared things in Google Plus posts show up at the top of the search results. So this is one key area where Google Plus is quite important. Images can also be +1, which ties into personalization as well. So it's not just sharing on posts. If people have +1 it, that tends to get it in this framework as well. Google Plus posted images can rank very well. Even auto-generated YouTube thumbnail images from a YouTube share. I mean, it's kind of odd what actually will tend to show up in these searches that are being fed in through Google Plus. Remember that Google loves to send traffic back to itself when possible. You know, they kind of really like to pat themselves on the back whenever they can. So, number one thing, if you want to rank well in Google image search, it's very important that you have a tie-in with Google+. You know, that people are sharing and +1ing your images and things like that. So, on to the next component here. Now, this has changed here. If you attended one of our previous classes or talked about some of our previous information about image search, this has definitely changed recently. The actual page title where the image is at is now fairly important. This is kind of like Bing, but Google used to be a little bit different than that. Now it's more important to have your keyword in the page title itself. It's now using the page title as an image description. They used to use the file name and the alt text. Now they've changed this around. Now they're using the page title. I guess they decided that this makes more sense than perhaps the file name or, you know, the alt text. Here's an example of an image that ranks very highly for the keyword sunset. Now note it's on a 0PageRank.edu page. It's just like some abandoned page that somebody stuck up there, but it's ranking very highly for the keyword sunset in Google image search. And part of the reason is why? It's got sunset in the page title. The file name is something to do with sunset. It meets all the criteria. So you don't necessarily have to have your images on a high PageRank page. If you hit some of these other key areas such as the page title, image file, you know, alt text, all that stuff, it's going to make a difference. Keyword in the file name itself is still important and it's going strong still. Here's an example here of a wallpaper file, which I thought was kind of cool. Of course, I like sunsets and dolphins too. So, but here we have the keyword sunset within the file name itself, and this image does rank for sunset. So, when you're saving your file, you know, to your website or uploading it to your WordPress server, or, you know, creating information, it's going to be a lot more important if you use, you know, an actual keyword phrase like this dolphin sunset wallpaper thing. This is going to rank really well for HD sunset images or HD wallpaper dolphin, you know, that kind of thing. It's going to probably show up. Now, also, your image alt text is it's been a good, strong signal for a long, long time. In fact, you know, that's what most of these search engines used for many, many years, is they went off the alt text for the image in order to use it for scoring. So it's still there. You should not overlook the image alt text when you're uploading your files to your website. And, you know, we all have done this. You know, we get in a hurry. We're creating a page, and we just, you know, slap an image in there and forget to take the time to do these SEO optimization techniques for our images. And you're actually just throwing traffic in the trash when you do that, because image search is fairly powerful. And I don't know if you're like me and you've used search engines for quite a while. You've probably found at times when you're looking for a specific product, you know what it looks like, but you don't really know what it's called or what the part number is. And the image search at Google is becoming, that much more powerful now. You can take and upload an image to that, and Google will find you all the related images. Or people will actually kind of shop through that and look at images and try and find, okay, that's the thing I'm looking for. Then they will go to the website in order to buy it. So don't overlook images and how powerful they can be in your sales. Having the keyword that you're working after near the image is important as well. So the content on the page where the image is found, the page title and the body text do matter. Here's a page that ranks well, actually the image ranks well, for USB serial adapter. And I highlighted some places where the keywords are at here on the page. And note that they've used the keyword phrase in the subheading with the keyword phrase. They've also used it in the page title. It's in the body text of the content near the image. The image file name has the keyword phrase in it, and so does the alt text. Now, on top of that, they've also got user-generated comments in the footer below this image, otherwise where people are talking about things. So that actually shows that actual page is, somewhat relevant to the keyword phrase or the keyword phrase it's ranking for. So Google tends to like to see that. They like to see that UGC going on. That tells them that it's probably a quality page when people are actually talking about things. So again, it's not just the image itself, it's the page as well and the content that surrounds the image that helps on your ranking. User-generated comments and that activity is indeed still a signal, but it's not near as powerful as in last year's study of this when I was looking at this and talking about it. Last year I found that Google tend to want to rank an image wherever the highest amount of activity was going on at. And that's really not quite as powerful as it used to be. Now, when we're talking about user interaction, it's where we're talking about where the image is actually displayed and embedded. And this is an example here of a forum post where an image was embedded in a forum, but the image file wasn't actually on that page. In the past, an image like this would rank well because Google's seeing all this activity going on the URL where the image is at. That has dropped down. It's not quite as important. Embedded images hosted on different domains are less likely to rank in 2013. So that's good news for those that are actually generating the content. The bad news is it's a little harder to get traffic out of Google image search because of the way they're generating their search results. Going back here, they're not, you have to actually click this link where it says visit page in order to get to the website here. So that's not really that great in regards to getting that traffic out of Google image search. It still can be done just fine, but unfortunately, your images are more likely to rank under your own name now, but the problem is Google doesn't, they're kind of stingy with the traffic. They make you do these extra clicks to get the traffic to your site. That part's not so good. Again, putting a caption near your image can help definitely in regards to ranking well for the image itself. Now, what I like to do on this a lot of times is I'll use a div container with the image, and that helps to associate the text with the image when it's wrapped around within that div. Now remember, you can also create an XML image sitemap. And when you do that, you can define the caption for the image as well. Ideally, your image caption and the caption on the page should match up. That seems to work better. We've tried it a few different ways, and I think we see a correlation where when those are in agreement, things tend to work better. And it helps them trust your XML sitemap as well when they see things agreeing. You can also use, and we talked about this before, you can use schema.org microdata for your images. This is one that's marked up, an example that we're using for this presentation of how you would mark up an actual image using schema.org. You don't need any other content on the page other than the image object. I believe we have a item as web page for this. The schema.org image object tag defines all the options, which are quite extensive. You can put ratings, a location, the copyright holder, and much more. And it's pretty simple to do in regards to, like I said, you can see the example here. And again, we recommend that you match the image caption with your defined image sitemap caption as well. It's kind of same thing with video. Inbound links to the web page where the image is embedded do seem to help well. We do see, obviously a page that has some page ranking better, but it's not, everything. Like I just showed you a little bit ago, we had an image ranking well with PR0, gray bar, no page rank at all, was ranking for a generic keyword phrase because it matched all the other requirements to rank well. You should continue to develop inbound links to the page where the image is used at, not to the image file itself. So if you want to link to, if you want that image to rank, get the links going to the HTML page, not the JPEG or PNG itself. There are secondary ranking signals we need to review a little bit, and one of those evolves around QDF, or query deserves freshness. Hot topics tend to push fresh images to the top, so the data discovery is key, and it's shown on the image when this occurs. Now, I was trying to think of a recent event that had happened, and I didn't really want to talk about Boston, but there was an explosion down in Texas, and that kind of shows the example quite well. If you look at that, right now, you'll typically see that the date is going to show up on all the images. Now, 3 months from now, more than likely, you won't see that. That's when QDF disappears. Anytime QDF is triggering, you're going to see dates on the images. The other thing about Google is they're pretty darn good at detecting duplicate images. Here's this image on the right is a screenshot from the Microsoft Surface tablet, and everybody was writing about it when it came out. And they were all using the Microsoft PR images. Now, note that these are all very similar. They're just all different sizes. Google figured it out. Part of this thing, they like to see an image size around 300 to 700 pixels right now. Now, of course, that doesn't occur if somebody indicates the size that they're looking for, like they did a search for wallpaper, or they've used the image search options that have like an icon or small size. But in general, they tend to like to see that range of size for an image in most cases. Unique images are quite important. The file name, the image size, and the aspect ratio are not enough to make an image unique. Google's pretty good at finding dupes when it comes to this. Now, here's one thing that we did observe. White space ratios may sometimes be enough to make an image unique. I've got an example of that coming up here. The primary color and the patterns are what tend to do this. Google has trained their image search with the Google Image Labeler. So they've got a great deal of training on this AI to detect when an image is similar. And they've trained it with humans. So it's a fairly smart little piece of equipment, or program that is. Here's an example of what I was talking about for image white space detection. This is the exact same image as all the others that were being used that came out of the Microsoft group, when they announced this new tablet. They're all the same image. They're all different sizes. But notice how this one on the left was cropped funny. That screwed up the white space detection that Google uses to help define duplicates. So they thought this was a unique image. So kind of keep that one in mind. If you're writing a blog post or an article or something, and you have to use an image from, say, an official source, anything you can do that can screw up that white space detection so that it's not the same as everybody else's image will probably be to your advantage. you may get it to show up in actual image search that way. If not, it's going to be grouped with everything else, and only the most popular one is going to show, or the most freshest. Bing has some different ranking signals as compared to Google. There are some similarities, though, of course. They like to see the keyword in the page title, the alt text, and the file name, and the body text just as well. I mean, it's all pretty similar there. The keyword in the HTML file name is less important, we think, at Bing. The image file name and freshness also doesn't seem quite as important as compared to Google. Google is quite advanced when it comes to this freshness part about when it comes, compared to Bing. Bing just does not get it. If you go do a search at Bing for a recent event, for example, the Texas explosion, and compare that to a search result at Google for the Texas explosion, you'll see what I'm talking about in regards to how much freshness matters to Google. So kind of keep that in mind at Bing. They're just not as advanced when it comes to image search. On-page keyword density may be helpful here at Bing. We've seen where image galleries tend to rank really well, and one of the things that's about an image gallery is they tend to have very little amount of text, which would drive the keyword density up really high on a page like that. So kind of stick that in your notes. They like large images, seemingly much more than Google. We see a lot of images showing up in the default search up to 1,600 pixels large. And Google just doesn't seem to have a preference for that big of an image. So kind of keep that in mind as well. They seem to be watching for Facebook and Pinterest share and like signals. So if you can get that image URL to be liked, or the page URL where the image is embedded to be liked or shared on these different social networks, that may help you as well. Now, this is something that is kind of yet to be coming, or yet to happen here. And then we're talking about EXIF and geotagging. Google is still not making EXIF data directly searchable, but they are indexing it. Now let me back up here just a little bit. If you go take your Android phone and you take a picture of someplace, outside, there's going to be a great deal of information about that image embedded in that image itself. And if you upload it directly to a web server or something like that, this stuff is all there, and you're going to have to rip it out if you don't want it to show. For example, this one over here on the screenshot to the right, that was taken with the Droid camera. It has the date the image was taken, the file format, all the image, all the settings, the focal length, whether the flash was on or not. It also contains geographic information as far as the latitude and longitude where the image was taken. And there's been a lot of privacy advocates that's like come unglued, realizing that people are taking pictures with their phones and they upload it to the internet, and then all these images are showing where the person is located at. And most people don't realize that that's there. You can turn these features off in most phones, and you can rip it out of the image by editing the file, but most people don't realize that most images nowadays have that kind of information. The question is, will Google or Bing make use of this? Now, right now, neither one seem to be using geotagging for image search to try and make an image show up where it's at, unless people specifically trigger that type of thing, saying Google Plus or Facebook. Geotagging images may be useful in the future should an image search add search at location feature or something like that. But as you can realize, there's probably some very significant privacy issues involved. For example, teenagers uploading pictures to different website or file sharing locations. Googlebot gets in there, and you can actually see the location where some young gal or guy or something has shared an image, and find out where they actually live, where they go to school, where they hang out at. It's a stalker's night, or I guess a parent's nightmare. It might be more way to put that. So if you are a parent and you have kids with smartphones, be aware when they upload an image It's likely containing geodata as well, so you want to watch that. Google Plus does have an option to display or hide the location information when you upload it. This might be the beginning of something down the road in regards to them using this data. Images can also be geotagged using an XML image sitemap. So when you upload images to your website, you can tag them, where they were taken at. That may help for, search for a specific area at some particular point in time. As MacTed says, so any metadata or user-generated content or easy ways for more people can sort or label images, all of those will help. Now, the thing is, we know that they're reading this information. We know the Googlebot can store it. Google isn't using it for search at this particular point in time, but it's sitting there ready to be used whenever they want to flip the switch. And I don't know at what point they will do that. So be aware of EXIF and the ability to geotag or to put this information within the image itself. We also want to take, for your images, ideally you want to make use of the Open Graph image markup. Say that you have a product page or something like that. If you're asking visitors to like or +1 your pages, you absolutely should be defining the image that Facebook and Google uses for their thumbnails. We like to use the OG image tag for this, as it works on both social networks. So we can do it one time and handle it for both websites. And it's very easy to do. This is a very simple tag right here, metaproperty equals OG:image, and then the URL for the image. We use that so that we can get a nice looking result in Facebook and Google Plus when somebody shares the page. Facebook's minimum size is 50 pixels, but we recommend using a 200 pixel image square or larger. Google wants the thumbnail images to be at least 120 pixels in height, and if width is less than 100 pixels, then the aspect ratio must be no greater than 3:1. We typically use a 200 pixel or larger image that's close to square, and that typically works just fine. So try and use at least something of that size, and remember that most of the time it's going to be on a white background. We typically try and use a lot of times PNGs with a clear background, just in case down the road somebody gets this posted or shared on another location that has some color. So again, if you care about what your website's products or your pages look like on Facebook and Google Plus when somebody does a share or a like on your website, do make use of the Open Graph image markup tag to get some more traction with that. We can also make, just like video XML sitemaps, we can make an image XML sitemap. Search engines make use of this information. Both of them do. Google Webmaster Tools, if you use these, it will display how many images it has extracted in their report. I would also suggest, as we did earlier, to keep this as a separate file. For example, image sitemap.xml or whatever you want to call it. And when you keep them separate, it's a little easier to maintain things whenever you add or edit an image. And here's an example here, just a short, quick example of a couple images that's been marked up. We have the location where the images are showed. We've got the file name for the image itself and a caption for the image, just like in our previous example that I showed you for text as a caption. Now, one of the things when you're working in image optimization is just wondering, did Google or Bing actually index it? You can go to the image search and do a site, yourdomain.com/imagefilename.jpg to test, or just do site:/www.yourdomain.com to see how many total images are indexed. Now, that would be an image search at Google's image search, not at regular Google. Regular Google is going to show you, HTML results if you try this there. The other question is personalization affecting your results. So try logging out and using a different browser with no cookies set to try and see, what's showing up for these searches. Also, are you using a standard format, JPEG, GIF, or PNG? Those are the ones that the search engines like to use. And finally, you'll probably find at some point in time your images are getting stolen and used on other, people are either hot linking or they're using your images. You may want to consider watermarking your product images, especially if you want to try and avoid duplicate content issues. You may want to make use of the technique I showed you earlier in regards to white space to keep your product images unique. You may want to do your watermarking in that white space. So there's a few additional tips in regards to images. So that pretty much wraps us up here at the end of the hour, and let's take some time here for some questions if you have any.
Excellent. If you do have a question, go ahead and type your question into the text chat box there on your screen, and we'll be able to take your question in the order they're posted. I'll remind you that if you haven't already activated your business support membership, use the URL in the Q&A text chat box there to go ahead and activate that, and also request access to our Skype mastermind group. That's your connection to our trainers as well as other participants to support you as you're implementing what you're learning as part of the training. Again, if you do have a question, go ahead and type your question into the text chat box there on your screen, and we'll be able to take your question. The first question is from Margaret. In schema.org and ratings, where does the ratings data come from?
Margaret, in your ratings, typically that's supposed to be users, people that are, actually doing the reviewing and rating. You can hard mark up this information. Say that you go to Amazon.com and you buy a product or you're looking at a product, after you purchase the item, you're asked to leave a review and a rating for the product on Amazon.com. That's where that information normally comes from. That's what Google is kind of looking for. They would like it to be actual people that have relevant information to rate the product or service or whatever. Now, in order to do that, you've got to have a way to get that information from the customer and onto the web page. A lot of websites, for example, like Amazon, they have software, they have scripts and things that take that information and put it into the web page, and it's all generated dynamically. Now, if you don't have that type of website, that has that capability, there are some tools out there that let you do this, but you could also mark this up manually and put that code information in there yourself based on, say, email from customers, things like that, actual user data. Now, there's nobody out there checking on this in regards to if the information is true or false or fake or whatever. Google's not going to know who actually left that review, who gave it a 5-star rating, that kind of thing, because they don't have that information to work with. However, it's, sometimes pretty easy to tell when it's, made up information and it's just, fake ratings. The thing that you should probably consider is there are other groups out there that pay attention to where that information comes from, and one of those is the FTC. There are rules in regards to that. So we're not going to tell you one way or the other how that information gets on the page. If you manually mark up the content, put it on there, based on information you've gotten from your customers, or if you add a dynamic system to your website that takes that data in and puts it up on the website.
Excellent. If you do have a question, go ahead and type your question into the text chat box there on your screen. The next question is from Melissa. Is embedding a video on social media different from sharing the URL?
Well, no. I mean, if you go to Facebook and you share, you put you paste a YouTube video link, that's basically sharing the video. Now, you could also share the web page where the video is embedded. That's still going to work. You could actually upload the video to your Facebook account directly as well. That's basically the same thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. The next question is from Keith. With videos, where is the video thumbnail put? Is it listed in the video sitemap?
Yes, Keith, if you look at the presentation I have up here right now, right here is where that's at, video:thumbnail_location. and that's the URL for the thumbnail. And that's the one we're referencing in our examples.
Thank you. There's a follow-up. How are the video and image sitemaps indexed by Google and Bing? Do you need to link to them in your Webmaster Tools?
Well, yes, there's actually a couple different ways that they can find these video and image sitemaps. Number one, and what a lot of people do, is they just go to Google Webmaster Tools and submit the video or image sitemap, XML sitemaps, directly to Bing or Google. You can also link to them from your robots.txt file as well if you'd like to. There's a way to link to the XML sitemaps within that. We have some examples on Search Engine News. If you do a search for video optimization, there's an example of how to do that in robots.txt.
Thank you. The next question is from Judy. I have images hosted on a separate server, i.e. media.example.com. Is this a bad idea?
Typically, unlike a lot of different things in regards to SEO, in regards to images, that really isn't that big a deal. I mean, there's a lot of people that put their images on a content server or things like that, or out in the cloud different ways. They don't really seem to care so much about where it's actually hosted at. It's more where it's embedded, where the image is actually embedded at. So, no, I don't think you'll have a problem, Judy.
Thank you. The next question is from Denise. When tagging videos with your brand name, should you use ABC space XYZ space company or ABC XYZ company altogether, or www.abcxyzcompany.com?
I guess it depends on, what really looks like. The people aren't going to be able to see what you've tagged it with, so I would be, without doing a lot of duplication, try and be thorough in regards to your tags. Just avoid duplicating a lot of things there. But you can be thorough. I mean, people they won't see the tags now. They don't show up.
John, one of the things that we've done is, in addition to tagging it with our company name and the individual name, we've also invented a very unique phrase that we use and tag in every video, and we find that tends to work really well for YouTube grouping all of our videos together.
Excellent idea.
The next question is from Andrew. Is there a danger of over-optimization when every single alt tag is filled in on a page that is more graphic than text-oriented?
Well, not unless you're repeating the same thing over and over again, I wouldn't think. Remember, image alt text pretty much is indexed directly just like text is. I mean, if there's only a picture on the page and you use the alt text for the image and you did a search at Google, that's probably what's going to show up in the description, is what was in that alt text, because that's basically indexed text. So if that if that alt text was visible, would it look like you're just repeating the same text over and over again? If you're doing that, that's probably not a good idea. But if it's actually relevant information and describes what the image is, that's fine. I just remember, try and pretend like the alt text is actually visible, so that you don't have a spammy-looking type of alt text for the image. Make it high quality if you can.
Thank you. The next question is from Margaret. In a large e-commerce site, is it worth making an image sitemap for all the products?
Well, without sharing some secrets of some of our SEO customers that we have, and I don't know if they're on here or not, I know some of them have really done well in certain product areas, certain products, doing a lot of image optimization and tagging all their products, and actually spending a lot of time on image optimization, in all different ways, thumbnails, product photos, large product photos, all this kind of thing we've been talking about here, in some situations can be substantial amount of traffic and sales. In other situations, you may not see diddly. I would kind of suggest looking at your Google Analytics and sorting things out from the source to see, kind of get an idea of what's going on now. Are you getting any traffic now off of some of these images? If it's a product or a service that people are actually looking, in image search for, you might find some golden eggs in that if you work on optimizing it. I know in a lot of different topic areas, we've been, for many years trying to optimize our images so that, not really spend a lot of time in most cases, but at least hitting the main things. We'll put the keyword in the file name, we'll address the alt text, and, make sure that we've got a nice quality image that we're working with. Most of the things we're talking about here, we won't always use an image sitemap, but sometimes we'll be surprised how much traffic we get out of image search. And those are the key areas that, when you see you're getting some, you may be able to get more. So I think that's, different situations you'll get better results.
Thank you. What sort of relative jump in ranking would you expect to see with a page that has video embedded properly? Is there any rule of thumb there?
Well, that's kind of a good question because I haven't really done myself. I haven't really went back and added video to a lot of, case studies. We've done it on new stuff, and it usually works really well when we add it to new stuff. And in a lot of the cases, they're ranking very, very well in the top 10 for the phrases that we were after. But I've been actually using it on a lot of longer phrase, keyword phrases too. And typically, we can get something in the top 10 on those things on the first hit. So I think it works pretty darn well, and it does help your click-through ratios when they see those video thumbnails there. So I think you will see some improvement, Keith. I think you should at least test it in some situations and see what you get. I think the real improvement is it's a small signal to Google Analytics or Google's, bot that you have some, media on the page. But the other part of it is when they start showing the thumbnail, it's going to increase your click-through ratios, and that also helps as well. So you've got a two-found improvement there that is possible. So by all means, give it a shot and see, what kind of results you get. I think you might be pleased.
Thank you. The next question is from Andrew. Is it worthwhile to name NPR and FLV files in a manner that includes a hint of keyword optimization with regard to YouTube submissions and individual video container pages for an independent website?
Yeah, I think so. I would like you said, and you said the key thing, just a hint. Don't go crazy on this. Don't go keyword dash keyword dash keyword dash keyword. That always looks like crap. Just use, something that makes the file name relevant. Just like if you were saving it on your computer and you wanted to name it something other than, a date code, .mp4. Do it so that it's going to be somewhat relevant, but don't be carried away with the keyword thing. Make it look like it's a reasonable use of the keyword or keyword phrase.
Thank you. It looks like that we've wrapped up this portion of our Q&A, all of the questions here. In just a moment, I'm going to ask John to summarize the most important ideas for action as we wrap up here today. Now, there is one additional question here. We'll go ahead and catch this here before we wrap up. From Keith, does the quality of the video impact the ranking at all, i.e. using HD or not?
Keith, I'm not really sure. This is kind of hard to tell because when you do some of these topics that we've got out here, you're competing against videos that may have been there for quite a long time. You got to look at the about something Ramon and I talked about here the other day. Audio headsets, USB headsets. Say that Google or YouTube wants to rank these the most appropriate. there's probably a video out there on YouTube that's been there for, 8 years, has a large number of views, comments, stuff like that, and it's not HD. It's kind of, just an older video, but it's still out there, and people are still, watching it. It's got good views and things. And then Ramon decides to take a nice, fresh, brand new HD video with his brand new camera and uploads it to YouTube. Now that video starts getting traction. He shares it to all his friends on Twitter, Facebook. Everybody else is linking to it, and all of a sudden that thing's gaining some ground. YouTube's going to probably, and Google, is probably going to rank that new video higher than that video that's been sitting out there for years. Now, when this all this activity drops down and the hotness of Ramon's new video kind of expires and slows down, then you'll probably see more of a true thing. And it really depends on how that video did during its initial, introduction, as how it's probably going to land, overall. But yeah, I think it's worthwhile to do the HD thing. If you've got your choice, the higher quality is definitely more enjoyable. On the other side of that, it also can get more irritating for those who don't have high bandwidth connections, and they try and watch it as an HD, and it, times out on them or something. So I guess that could kind of bite you in the butt, too, in some ways. But I would go ahead and do the HD myself. That's what we've been doing most things in.
Excellent. And a quick follow-up here, a secondary question. I've heard that if you put relevant text in the video, it helps the rank. Yes or no?
Well, it's not exactly indexed. I think it seems like I've tested this, Keith, myself, to see if those annotations will actually show up. Now, if I remember correctly, they didn't. We put some annotations in the video and tried searching for those annotations, and they didn't rank. Now, I'm not saying that's like that today. It may actually work. Go make a video and put put a unique keyword in as an annotation, see if it'll show up. Last time I tried that, it didn't seem to work. It may now, so that may have changed.
Excellent. And with that, we're going to wrap up this Q&A time. What we'd like to do now is transition here in just a moment to a wrap-up with John sharing the most important ideas for action. If you've still got questions, I'd be happy to take those questions in our dedicated Q&A session, which is coming up as our next session. And you can also post your question in the Skype Mastermind and get feedback from John, other trainers, as well as other participants. This really gives you a competitive edge as you go to implement what you learn in our training. You can activate and get access to the Skype Mastermind using the links we've provided in the Q&A text chat box there. Also, I encourage you to review the slides as well as the audio of the sections that are most applicable to you right now from the training. This will help you prepare for our upcoming Q&A session so you maximize that. Get all of the questions answered for yourself and with client projects that you're working on. John?
Well, I think I'd like everybody to kind of think, what kind of signals does video on the page, on your actual website pages, send to the search engines? And in our previous presentation, we talked about our click-through rates, bounce rates, all that kind of thing. And one good way to get people to stick on the page longer than they may normally is having a video on there. And it can be very entertaining, and it can, like I said, it can increase the time on page, and it can help, if it's relevant and a good video, it can help on their bounce backs. So you could actually take a page that's got, a bad or a poor bounce back ratio, and you might be able to improve it by putting a relevant video on the page as well. If you notice, if you go to a lot of the bigger e-commerce sites, all the important products to those companies tend to have video. Take Amazon, for example, and you want to go look at when they launched the Kindle, they sure as heck had a video on the page, and it kind of spun around. It wasn't a large video, it was kind of a review. Kind of spun the product around and looked at it in different text and things. I don't even think it had audio at the time, but you'll see that realtors are making use of video a lot more. There's a lot of people that are making use of this, and the cost to entry is so much lower now than it used to be. If some of your products are really important to you, there's really not a lot of reason not to make use of video to improve both your sales and the signals that are sending to the search engine back, about the engagement with your visitors. So I think it's a win-win in almost every way you look at it for most businesses. And images as well. Back like I said, in some of these situations, some companies are doing very, very well with image search traffic. Now, yours may not get anything out of it. It may get some. It may get, something that you don't want anybody to know about, which I do know a few that are that way. So depending on the product area and, what that demographic of people looking for those products, how they act, it may be some substantial traffic for you to work on that area as compared to, just ignoring image traffic at all. So that's kind of my general overview on this, and we're going to have, I want to make sure to mention we've got another Q&A, so if you've got anything else to think about, you want to ask about this stuff, save it up and we'll get after it again.
Excellent. As always, we ask you to post in the text chat box there the best idea that you learned and will apply. Also, the way we give feedback is A's and exclamation points. So we'd love for you to, again, type in the best idea you learned and will apply from today's session, and also to give John some feedback in the form of A's and exclamation points. Go ahead and type that into the text chat box there on your screen. It helps us to know that we're providing the information that's useful to you. As we wrap up today, I encourage you to review the slides and the audio from today's presentation. Make a list of your most important questions that you'd like to have answered in our Q&A time. Also, there will be an opportunity to post that in the Skype Mastermind group when you have access. You have anytime access to that group as a member. Go ahead and activate your membership so that you can get access to that, as well as the unlimited fast tracks and other information that will support you in taking action. Well, thank you for your participation today. We look forward to seeing you in our fourth session upcoming, which is our dedicated Q&A time. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Ramon, and thanks, everybody, for being on the call, and I hope you all have a great weekend. See you next week.